I think it's time to start.
Okay.
Yeah, CME family. Today I just wanna give praises to Tata Nzambi. It's a beautiful day outside, and I'm really excited to see our family. And my prayer is that we really open up our hearts to Sonini. I know a lot of us have been really busy and stressed and thinking about a lot of things. And so, maybe sometimes there's distance between us and Tata. So, yeah. So I want to sing, open the eyes of our hearts, yeah. Open the eyes of our hearts. We want to see you. We want to see you. Open the eyes of our hearts, yeah. Open the eyes of our hearts. We want to see you. We want to see you. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. Open the eyes of our hearts, yeah. Open the eyes of our hearts. We want to see you. We want to see you. Open the eyes of our hearts, yeah. Open the eyes of our hearts. We want to see you. We want to see you. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. High and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing, Kembo, 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 we want to see you. You are holy, holy, holy. You are holy, holy, holy. You are mighty, mighty, mighty. We long to see you. You are Kembo, Kembo, Kembo. You are Kembo, Kembo, Kembo. Your Kembo, Kembo, Kembo. We want to see you. Siyabonga Nkosi, siyabonga Somandla. Nkosi yamakhosi, qhawe lamaqhawe, nguwe oyingcwele, the holy one, the only one, uTata Nzambi yamakhosi. There is none like him, ungu sonini nanini, the everlasting to everlasting one, Nkulunkulu, the ancient of days. Siyabonga Nkosi. We say thank you. Elder Makayilu, over to you. please lead us in opening prayer.
Tatanen Zambi, Sonini Nanini. For you are Nweli, you're holy. We thank you for this day, for us coming together once again to come and worship and bow down before your presence, Tata. Be praying and we asking you that you would use those who are speaking on today to use them wisely, Tata. That our eyes would be continually opened unto you, Tata. That our ears would be open and attentive to you, Tata. That you would touch the hearts and your minds of your people. That we may dwell in your presence, Tata. We're asking you, Tata, to move mightily amongst us today, Tata. Meet every need, everyone that's under the sound of my voice, Tata, that you would touch their homes, their loved ones, Tata. Some of us are going through so many things, Tata, but we just grab a hold to you because we know that everything will be all right, that we draw our comfort from you, Tata, because you are Tata and Zambi. You are the creator. And we give you glory, we give you Kimball. And we ask you to be in the midst of us on this day, and each and every day, that we continue to walk upright, walking in righteousness, serving you continuously. For this, Tata, we give you praise. For this, Tata, we give you Kimball, Natata Nzambi Yamazulu. Ingeta.
Ingeta Siabonga Elder. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome our special guests today. We have Sister Michelle and Sister Diana, hailing all the way from the UK and, well, residing in the UK. They're not from there, but I'll let them witness for themselves. Please, a round of applause, family, for our sisters who have made it all the way to the promised land, to Africa, to visit. Yeah, thank you, Matondo. Yes. So, yeah, please introduce yourselves. Mama Michelle, and then Sister Diana. Yeah, where are you from? And when I say where you from, like everywhere you were scattered around this big earth. Yes.
Okay, CME everyone from all over.
CME.
I'm Sister Michelle. I reside in England. My descendants are from the Congo, but my parents were moved to Jamaica. Yeah. Is there anything else I need to say?
Yeah, and then what? How did you end up in the UK? What's happening?
Oh, my mom.
The accent. Explain the accent.
Yeah, so my mother decided, I think in the 50s, 60s, to come over from Jamaica to help the UK with their nursing problem. So she came over to work in the hospitals, and then she jumped around different jobs over the years. So she did seamstress, she did care work, then hospital, and then she went into like sheltered housing that's like looking after vulnerable people. Then she moved over to elderly people. So, and that was her journey. And us ending up in the UK.
So in other words, you're a citizen of the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Jamaican as well, nationality, as well as the UK. Okay.
Yeah.
And Sister Diana, so I want to do it simultaneously. Where are you from? Yeah.
Hello, family.
Hello, Diana.
CME. Michelle, go on.
No, Diana. Why I can't see you.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Can't hear you though.
She's frozen.
Yeah, she's frozen.
Oh, that's not good.
West Africa. My family, my mum, my dad, and my sisters and I came over to the United Kingdom in 1983, because they were the land of opportunity, supposedly.
Yes, sorry, can you repeat from where? We missed that part because you froze. Yeah.
All right, let me try I'll try and log on my phone as well, just in case. Originally from Sierra Leone in West Africa. We came over to the UK in 1983. So my parents brought us over as young children. We've been here since. Obviously, my parents, my dad trained in Germany as an engineer. My mum worked in a bank back home in Sierra Leone. But obviously, when they came over, the opportunity wasn't there for them to take roles in the positions that they had trained for. So my mum became a nurse. And my dad, they started off sort of cleaning toilets and things like that. And then they both sort of did different jobs and multiple jobs just to basically provide for us as their children.
Oh, okay. So you grew up as a resident of the United Kingdom?
Yes.
Okay, sure. Then I'd like to find out from both of you, what was your relationship with spirituality? Yeah, what faith did you practice and how did you come into this Bantu truth? How did that visit you?
Sister Michelle, do you want to go first?
How did I know you were going to say that? Okay, so it was in this very living room that I received Christ in 2009. I prayed fervently because at the time me and my son's dad were getting on.
No worries, you can continue.
Okay. All right. So I had prayed because he had my son in Jamaica at the time, and I wanted him back. So I prayed, and I said to the Lord at the time, if you bring back my son, I promise you, I will serve you every day of my life. My life is yours. Just bring back my son. I will do anything that you want. Just bring back my son. That was my prayer.
Yes.
And then a few days later, I got a call from my son's aunt to say that she was going to pick him up from the airport. So I was like, oh, you heard me. Okay, well, the deal's a deal. My life is yours. So that was my kind of Christian kind of journey. I bounced around a few churches. No, before I bounced around 2 churches, because I was one of those people that didn't want to know about church, didn't want to know about Christianity. I was not interested. When everyone was going church, I was going to a party, club, whatever, trying to fit into that lifestyle. And then the day that happened, and the next day, it was just like my life, it felt as if my life had changed. So I didn't have no one to talk to about Christianity or anything. And the only person I could call was Deanna, because she was my brother's friend, and she was, as far as I knew at the time, she was Christian. So I'd phone her every day, asking her about Christ, asking her about all sorts of things that will just come to me, and I had no clue. I didn't understand. So so that was my beginning of my Christian journey. So fast forward, I got fed up with hearing the same message in church, and my only question was always, who are we? Who am I? What are we doing here? I need to know the truth. And that's all I wanted. I was going to Hillsong at the time, and there was something that they preached, and I was like, okay, I'm done. And I left. And I started researching. But so I was at work at one day, and there's a YouTuber called Allegra Pina Selassie. We worked together, and I asked him what church he went to. So he was like, he laughed. And then I was like, okay, did I say something funny? And he was like, I don't go to church. So I was like, oh. So I was like, God, why did you tell me to ask this man? Because it wasn't even me. Like, I just went just randomly. It's just, I had this thing in my head. Go and ask Allegra what church he goes to. So I was like, okay. So I asked him, he's like, I don't go to church. So I was like, God, why did you tell me to ask him? Like, seriously. So after that, he came back to me. He goes, why did you ask me? So I was like, well, God told me to. And he's like, and then he laughed again. I was like, okay, come on. Like, can you please tell me what's so funny? So he then started telling me about the people of the book. And I was like, yeah, all right, yeah, yeah, okay. I'm like, sure, okay. I'm like, Daddy, I've heard enough. So I kind of
Hillsong. They didn't tell you the Hillsong? What?
No, they just said that the Jews are them and we need to support them, give them all our money, everything. It was just like that. So yeah, so he kind of like, he was my first foot into discovering. And then I had another friend that she used to say things, and I'd be like, yeah, all right, whatever. And then she said something about Hebrew Israelites. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to look them up. So I looked them up, and lo and behold, there are all these things on YouTube. It's like, Hebrew Israelite this and so I scanned through quite a lot of them, and then I came across the Issachar couple. And they were the only ones that actually kind of resonated with me. So the time that I started listening to them, they were praying about Congo. And I was like, oh my gosh, wow, Congo. Started researching about that a bit more. And I was like, okay. So I think it was every Thursday at the time, they were doing prayer for Congo. And then I joined them. It was like a mad hours in the night here. It was like after 12 o'clock at night here when they were doing a prayer. But I would stay up for that prayer every single week. And they did prayer and fasting on that day too. So, and then they mentioned Shilombo. And I was like, okay. I researched him, I looked him up. And then, so during that time, like I had another colleague at work who she's from Tanzania, and we used to always talk about the slave trade and how like they took the slaves from Congo, and then they took them to Bagamora, And then from there, they shipped them off to different places. So I was saying to her, you know what, when you go to Tanzania next time, I want to go with you. She goes, okay, why do you want to go? I go, I want to see these places. I want to like see the trail and everything where they went from Bagamora to Congo and stuff like that. So she said, yeah, sure. So we were arranging to do that. And then something happened in her family. We couldn't go. So that year, that's when I discovered Shilombo. So I was watching his videos and stuff, and I was like, I really need to go to the continent after the fact that I couldn't go with my friend. And so by this time, I had contacted Shilombo because like I started watching more of his videos, and then he mentioned Pastor Mello, and I was like, shh. I was like, oh, he wrote a book. So I got the book, Christ in Africa. I think I got it like 2019 December. I started reading it. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I would kind of speak with Shilombo. We'd go back and forth with Parmelo's book. And then I was like, and then it was something in me was like, I need to go to South Africa. I was like, I don't know anyone in South Africa. And I was like, you know, Shilombo. And I was like, okay, but I don't want to go. Let's just go. So then I mentioned it to my friend and she's like, just go. And I was like, Then my son was like, Mom, just book the ticket. I'm like, ugh. So then by 2020, I booked the ticket January to go to South Africa, and me and my son went. So we were going for my birthday. In my head, I was saying, I'm going for a holiday, a break, and just to see the continent and see how things were. But God had other plans.
Oh, yes.
So,
very sneaky.
Oh my gosh, trust me, he was. Because I had a plan. I had my itinerary. Me and my son was going to go to the zoo. We were going to go to the cradle of humankind.
Yeah.
We were going to go to Pretoria to go and look at the animals. We were going to go to the pet. I had an itinerary. I had a plan.
Oh, that's
God
cute.
just went, oh, you made this plan? Did you? Oh, sorry. You're not doing that. And that's what he did. And I was like, okay, God. He made me stay in South Africa. He locked me down in South Africa from the 25th of March all the way to the 28th of May. I couldn't leave. So we arrived in South Africa, I think about the 11th of March, and we never left until
let me provide context for the family. She left the UK, okay? Yes, she had a desire to come to Africa at the beginning of a pandemic. Left with her son to South Africa.
Wow.
What I want to know is, how did you get to the Tocoist church and how did that come about? And then got in the pandemic. I mean, you brought it to yourself, sis. Like,
yeah. So everything that we planned, like I said, we want to go. Like that was shut down until finance was like, okay, we're ready to go now. 25th. Sorry, you can't leave because no flights are allowed to leave or whatever. So okay. So I contacted Pastor Mello and said, I'm still in South Africa. And he said, okay, I'm going to put you through to, I'm going to get in touch with a pastor that's in South Africa. And then, at least you won't feel alone. So I said, okay, no problem. So that was like in March. I never got his number until April. And the most bizarre thing is that this pastor was trying to contact Pastor Mello over something that he received, and Pastor Mello was trying to contact this pastor about me. So when we finally got in touch with each other, it was like the 14th, I think, of April by the time we got in contact. And he basically told he basically told me that he had a vision of meeting a sister that came from overseas, and the Lord told him that he needs to take her to school. And so he had gone to this place to go and see this sister so that he can take her to school. And so the sister couldn't leave. She basically told him, oh, sorry, brother, I can't leave, but come back tomorrow and then you can take me to school tomorrow. So he, in his vision, he said he got back in the car with his wife and he said that, okay, I don't know who this sister is. I've got to take her to school. I don't know what school. So then his wife said, we need to pray and find out. So, and then he woke up from the dream. And then he got a call from Pastor Mello about me. So, so that's how my journey with the Tocoista Church started. So every day from the day that so it was the 14th of April till the 3rd of May, I didn't meet him physically. He just knew me spiritually. And we spoke every single day over the phone. And he told me about the plans that the Most High had for my life and what he expected me to do, and telling me about the Tocoista Church. And then in the midst of that, I think it was like when he first phoned me, when we first spoke, we didn't really speak about Simone Toko. But what happened was I had a dream about Simone Toko whilst I was in South Africa. And in the dream, it was a ginormous pool. Like, it was like I was looking down, like, you know, when you see pictures of the world and you see the water, how it looks in the pictures. And so there was this one black boy, and he was just diving in the water. He was swimming, like, he was just majestic. It was amazing. And he was doing all these different kind of tricks and stuff in the water. I suppose tricks is the wrong word, but he was just doing these awesome things in the water. And then all of a sudden I heard, and then the person said it and then pointed, this one is Toko. And then the dream changed. And I was like, okay. So then the next time I spoke to Pastor Andre, he had to say, you had a dream about Toko. You are blessed. And I was like, oh, yeah. Like, okay, I've read about him. I've never I just read about him. The thought of like saying, yeah, I want to meet this person or anything, it wasn't there. So yes. So then he started going on and on and on about the plans and then started telling me a bit about the church. And I was like, I don't know if I want to be joining any church. I just came out of the church. And it's just like, he goes, no, it's not the church. It's not the church like what you know. And it's like, but it's still church. And he's like, no, it's a spiritual church. I'm like, He goes, well, you need to be like, you need to receive this seal and this and that. And I was like, So I was still kind of reluctant. And then when we met in person, finally, Shilombo came with me. Brother Shilombo came with me, and my son. And when we stepped into that Tocoist building, it was like peace. It was, I can't even describe. I was like, OMG, I need to join. We spoke, and like he went through again about his vision that he had, and then we kind of, like when you're reading in the Bible, and it's like they tell us the whole story from the beginning to end of how they got to this point. That was like it was. And I'm sitting there and I felt like I was living the Bible that moment. Like he was telling me from how he got to South Africa and and God told him, and then what the plans that God had for the church and how things are gonna go. And then he told me about how he had a vision about me. And then it's this point I was like, I'm in the Bible. Wow, it was just crazy. And then after that, 2 days later, I received my still. And I was then told after that, actually, so Pastor Andre his gift is interpretation of dreams. And I had so many dreams. So I just can't even tell you how much dreams. Like I've got pages and pages and recordings of dreams that I've had and what he's interpreted in these dreams. And there's dreams that I had that he had similar dreams that's telling me. And like, so there was one particular one saying about how I'm going to have another journey. And the journey, that's when things are going to start kind of like moving forward. So I was like, okay. So that was like last year. And then when I finally got to come home, when I finally got to come home, the 1st of November last year, I had another dream. And this time the leader was in the dream. But I was in Luanda and I was in a car with him, his wife, and there was 2 daughters and a son at the back with me. And then I had a baby on my lap in the back of the car. And so he was asking me, I didn't actually see his whole face, but I knew it was him, but he didn't look at me. So it was the 1st of November and he goes, today is the 1st of August. And I went, no, it's not. It's the 1st of November in my head, in a dream. And then he's like, today is the 1st of August. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to have to ask our pastor. If this is in my dream, I'm going to have to ask Pastor Andre what is so significant about August, because I don't know why he keeps on saying that today is the 1st of August and it's the 1st of November. So then he goes, have you got all of your papers ready? So I said, yes. And I was trying to hold them up while trying to hold this baby and being squashed in the car with these other children. And then he's like, okay. So we got to an apartment and then I didn't see him anymore. I only heard him say, you are going to travel the 2nd week in August. I'm like,
Oh.
okay. I'm traveling the 2nd week of August. Okay. And then I started complaining like, oh, but I can't because of work and this and that. And like, what am I going to tell them? And blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I kind of forgotten about it. And then like, I had like, my mom passed away in December. And then so had been off from work. And then the beginning of the year, Pastor Andre kind of reminded me that I am going to be having a second journey. So I'm like, I'm in no fit state to think about second journey right now, Pastor Andre. God has got a funny way of trying to make people do stuff when they're in mourning. Like, I'm not going nowhere. I'm like, that's what was my fault. So anyway, the months come by and Pastor Andre phoned me again. You need to prepare for your second journey. I goes, I'm not going anywhere. He goes, do you remember the dream that you had? I was like, yes. I was like, okay, fine. So I started sorting out the papers. Now, I didn't realize I needed a visa. My son was coming with me. I then found out I had to get letters to say that my son can travel with me from his dad. I was like, is this what he meant by has my papers already? Like, and then we had to find out about the yellow fever vaccination and all of this stuff. So I'm there thinking, okay, totally forgetting that, oh, it's the second week in August. I was trying to go to Angola for the 25th of July. God shut that down. the flight was kind of went a bit weird and we had to cancel. And I started praying. I was like, God, when are we supposed to be traveling? Because you said I was supposed to be going, and then. And I started journaling. And then I, like, most of the time when God speaks to me, like, it's when I'm journaling. And he's like, didn't I already tell you when you were leaving? Stop listening to other people. I've already told you. So then I had to go back and say, okay, you meant the 2nd of week in August. No problem. I booked and we left in, seriously.
Yeah, my son.
Sorry, my son. This way to everyone. There's loads of people. Mrs. Keenan, my son. What are you looking for?
A jacket or someone.
What jacket?
Black jacket.
I have no idea. Look in your bag. Sorry. Yeah, so when we got to Angola, that's when things just kind of just went to another level. So I'll stop there. And I'll let Tayana. So,
Wow. That is so much. That is so much to process, family. And I'm
sorry.
I'm thinking about the rest of our diaspora family who has been in the same situation when you're in, where they feel this deep connection to go back to the land. And I'm sure it's so encouraging to hear that you actually stepped. And also you're mentioning that there was a blockage, there was failure. You tried with your own plans, you did everything correct, but you just couldn't get, you couldn't quite get in. We've had loads of testimonies and witnesses like that where we also had friends who were trying to get into South Africa. They couldn't, they were shattered. But the Mwanda visited you in a dream and gave you a date. And it just shows that Nzambi's plans, you know that verse, a man makes his plans, but
oh yes.
Hey, you know, he says, I know the plans I have for you. And I find that very, very encouraging. And before we get to Angola, I'd like to hear from Sister Diana, because she said that when you were still discovering, like, spiritually, even though it was Christianity, you really had no concept of spirituality, like how to practice the Bible.
Yeah,
and you
told me
Diana was the expert. So Sister Diana, you are a witness for us. Yeah, can you just share your own experiences, how you came to faith? So believe your interaction with the Bible and the Mwanda, and then the awakening.
Okay. Well, yes, as you know, I've known System Shell for many, many years. And for me personally, I think 1996, maybe 7, was I think I had gone to a church conference. They were doing a youth service, and because I was like, no, I don't want to go to church, and my sister was going, so I'd gone to their conference, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need God. I want that relationship. I want that relationship. And I had a hunger and a thirst to just read and be in the Word, and just to understand it. I'd go home and I'd literally be in the Bible, just reading, to the point where I'd even forgotten I hadn't eaten that day, things like that. And it would almost be every day. And, things happened, I had dreams and things like that, but never understood them. I would ask the elders in the church to try and explain them to me, and they would sort of brush it off and say, don't worry. So that sort of discouraged me in telling people, things that I used to dream about. And then, situations happened, And I was, I'd been crying out for years, like, my purpose is, like, what am I supposed to be doing? I'm a creative person. Is this the, avenue I'm supposed to be going down? I had all of these questions. And then when Sister Michelle started asking me and inquiring about the Most High and, reading the word and praying and fasting, I was just like, how am I supposed to help her when I don't even know what I'm doing? I was like, I'm lost. I don't understand it. How am I supposed to help her? I don't have the answers for her. Like, why have you sent her to me? I was battling within myself, but she kept pushing, and I was just like, okay. So, we started trying to read together, trying to pray together, and just search for places that we could get those answers from, go to places that were doing worship. And we would always have people say, coming up to us whilst we're praying or worshiping, and we're like, oh my gosh, God's got your hands on you too. You two are special. He loves you. He loves you. And within myself, I was like, I heard it, but I didn't know if I really believed it, because I was going through so much, personal stuff. And I was like, well, how can he love me? What's so special about me? I'm not worthy of his love. I was battling within myself. So, obviously there was that journey, and then I sort of stepped away from the churches. And then when Sister Michelle, so fast forward to last year, I'm going to try and keep it brief. Because obviously me being from Sierra Leone, I'm like, yes, I'm African, and yes, I've got an identity, but who am I really? I didn't really understand it. And, I'd have people ask me, well, yes, you're Sierra Leonean, but, what is your culture? What is this? What is your language? And I was like, I couldn't really answer it. And not being able to go back, there were so many opportunities where I could have gone back, but something always happened. The coup happened. There was war. There was this. There was that. So I never got the opportunity to go back. Or like my dad was like, "Oh no, we can't go back because of this. We can't go back because of that." So as I grew, I almost lost the desire to go back to Sierra Leone and sort of see what it was like, see where I was born and grew up and things like that. So when Sister Michelle started researching about the Tocoistas church, and she would talk to me and would have conversations, and I'd ask her questions, and I'd sit there and I'd also listen to what she was saying, and I'd be nodding my head like, okay, and she was like, you got to look into it, you got to research. And I'll be like, yeah, okay, I'm not there yet, I'm not quite where you're at, sister, but yes, okay. And when she was in South Africa, she would call me, and would talk, and she'll tell me what's going on, and how she was trying to get back and couldn't get back, and just those conversations. So she was telling me about the things that she was finding out. So I think that within itself was feeding my spirit without me even knowing. So mentally and in the flesh, I was listening, but I wasn't really listening. But obviously my spirit was listening. So when she was meant to do the interview, the radio interview, and she sent me the link. So I managed to get on the link, and obviously, as she said, it was sort of very intermittent, and she couldn't get her testimony there. So I think there was someone on the radio that was trying to explain her testimony on her behalf, and they were speaking Portuguese, and I didn't understand a word of it. But in my spirit, I was jumping. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm excited! I want to go! I want to go to Angola! I want to go! I want to go!" Yes. So from there, so when she was like, "I'm going," I was like, I'm coming with you. And as she said, I had a similar sort of mindset of, I'm going on holiday, I'm going to relax, I'm going to de-stress, I'm, going to forget about everything that's happening over here. And I'm just going to enjoy myself. I'm going to, get the natural vitamin D, the tan, and So yeah, so obviously we arrived. So after all of the sort of back and forth with it, and cancelling the flight and then rebooking for August, and we arrived, and I was still in my mind, I was still like, yeah, I'm here on holiday. I'm gonna catch a tan. I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna de-stress.
Oh yes.
And were picked up at the airport. We were taken to the church, and I think our first thing was like, wow, like it was almost like we wanted to touch the ground, like, oh my gosh, we're really here kind of thing. Because we were saying it still doesn't feel like we're going. Even when we were on a plane, it was like, it still doesn't feel like we're actually going to Angola, even though we were on the plane going there. And so got there. We were received a few days later by the church elders. There was only a few of them at the time because some of them were away. And it was emotional. For me, it was so emotional. And I started crying. Now, for those who know me, I'm not a public crier. I do not cry in public.
Diana, you were bawling. There was no crying. It was bawling.
Okay. Bawling. I was doing the ugly cry. Okay, the ugly cry. Yeah. But I don't cry in public. So for me, I didn't understand why I was crying. And so Sister Michelle sort of looked over me like, you're crying. Like, why are you crying? And I was like, I don't know.
I don't even know.
And they received us. They sang. It was so emotional. It was so emotional. I was embarrassed. I was crying that much. I was so embarrassed, but I couldn't stop. Then the next day, we were received by the leader, and he was like, where are my daughters? I want to see my daughters. I want to meet them. Tell them to come as they are. And once again, I cried. I cried. I bawled. It was a blessing. It was a blessing. I don't really know what else to say. I don't know if I should stop there or continue. So maybe I should stop and then let's see where we go.
No, don't stop, sister. Tell us. We're also we're just listening. You don't even know these people and you just start crying.
Okay.
Tell us what happened from there on.
Listen, I'm not a public crier. So he met with us, he spoke with us, and Keenan, and I think because we were due to
The screen's frozen again.
It's frozen.
So when the leader met with us, he was gonna be going to two different places in two different provinces out of Rwanda. So it was Kwanzaa and Benguela. So we booked to leave the 29th of August, and we were going to be traveling to Jamaica from Angola. So he said to us, would we like to come with him to Kwanzaa? So we said, yeah, we jumped at the chance. And then he says, if you weren't going back, if you weren't leaving on the 29th, you could have come to Benguela. So we were like, oh, and so I was like, yeah, I've got to take him. Keenan's got to go back to school, and we just was trying to like make sure that he wasn't out of school. And he goes, it don't matter. But this whole time there was an interpreter there because everyone in Angola speaks Portuguese. So and he understands English very little. So there was somebody there interpreting for, even when we met the elders, there was somebody there to interpret for us as well. So Google Translate became our best friend, because that was the only way that we were able to communicate with most people whilst we were there. So just a side note, if anyone's going to go to Angola, especially to the Tocoista church, they will receive you. They'll try to accommodate as much as they can with translators, but it is best that you either pray from now for the spirit of interpreting other tongues, or you just start looking into doing some Portuguese classes, because it's going to be needed. Because when you meet that leader, I am telling you, he is the most warm, accommodating, friendly. He laughs so much. It is just, you see him on YouTube, and we didn't see that person. We saw this. He was like, please don't get me wrong. Like, please just don't get me wrong. But you know that when that image of Father Christmas with the ho, 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 and he's always laughing and jolly, that was him. Like, he was just so warm. And he will talk to you like like, you know, like that you go to some churches and like, oh, there's a bishop, oh, you can't go to him because of blah blah blah, whatever. No, he came to us, like and he talked, and he desired to want to speak with us, but because of the language barrier, it was difficult. So if we didn't have a translator around, and we didn't, like, Google Translate wasn't always reliable. So that was that. So that night when he asked us if we wanted to come to Kwanzaa, and I said, yeah, we can. I couldn't sleep. I woke up early, and I said to Diana, look, we need to go to Benguela. We need to change our flight. We have to go. God's going to do something there. I don't know what's going to happen, but we need to go. So
sorry, at the time you were in Luanda, just to get where you were, so for everyone to understand.
Yeah, so this is all in Luanda. Okay. So the next day we were supposed to be going to Kwanzaa, but then he changed and decided to go the Saturday. So that was like the Thursday we met him. The Friday we were supposed to go to Kwanzaa, but then he changed it so we left on the Saturday. We told them, told the elders that we're planning to change the flight details so that we can go on the trip. So then we were going to leave the following week. So on the way on the trip to Kwanzaa, that was amazing. Like the land that we saw, the faith that the Tocoista churches, like the little churches that we met on the way. We stopped about 10 times, and every single Tocoista church, they waited hours for the leader to pass by, and he stopped at everyone and he had a word for every single one of them. And they were so grateful, because these places that he was going to, the leader has not been there since Toko went, when he was allowed to come back to Angola. So he was basically doing the chore that the leader did when he left Portugal after being in exile for 11 years and was brought back to Angola. He was doing that tour. So that was, I think that's like 1974. So since 1974, all of these other little churches from Kwanzaa, Benguela, Lobito have not seen the leader, or like since when he was there in 74. So that was the tour. And then there was a conference in Benguela, and that was awesome too. So when we arrived in Kwanzaa, like we must have got there like almost 2 o'clock in the morning. They had a church service. Like he went into the tabernacle, and then like the whole, like it was like a whole village. It was a whole community was just there for him when he arrived. And then the next, a couple of days after, I think the day after that, we were told that we needed to have lunch with him, and we had lunch with the leader. And then after that, we requested that we meet with him afterwards, just to have like a talk and stuff. And in that meeting, Deanna converted to be to Tocoista. I don't even know if she's on. I can't see her.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
Sorry, the devil is a liar. He was trying to stop me, but God is good.
All the time.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, so you can talk about your conversion now.
Okay. Gosh, here we go. So yes,
don't cry.
Sister Michelle said,
don't cry.
Well,
no, I'm not gonna cry. Please don't make me cry. Do not make me cry. So we were called to have lunch. So we were brought to the church to have lunch with him, and we were sort of standing in the courtyard, waiting to be called in. And Sister Michelle and another sister that was with us, Sister Petronelle, who was going to interpret for us, asked me, so if the leader asks you if you are going to convert, are you going to convert? And I was just like, convert? What do you mean convert? Like, I believe in God already. Like, you know, I was just like, I can't answer that question. Like, in my mind, I was like, I don't think so. But once again, the Most High had a plan. So we had dinner, had lunch, and then we had to wait. And then we were called to go up and meet with him. So we got into the room, and we had both prepared sort of questions that we wanted to ask him. So we all sort of had our turn speaking to him, and then he called us over one at a time and spoke to us, and Sister Petronelle would translate and interpret what he was saying. And he then called me over, and he sort of looked in our hands, looked in our eyes, and he looked at me and he said, "It is not a mistake that you are here. And it's not by chance or coincidence that you came on this journey." And I was sort of like, what to say, not knowing how to take it. And he was like, "It's not a joke. Like, you are here for a reason." And I was like, okay then. And so he said some other things, and then he had the day before, obviously, I know I briefly told you guys I'd had a dream about sort of showing strength, and I didn't know that the dream was in sort of a message for me to know that my spirit was ready. So obviously doing this, and then he had asked me, do you want to convert? Are you ready? And at first I was like, I don't know. Again, so that was like the third time I cried. And he was sort of like, it's okay. And once again, it was uncontrollable. I couldn't control myself. Eventually I did. Got myself together. And all I knew within myself was, I can't keep going through this. I can't keep being how I was. So when he asked if I was ready, he asked again, and I was like, yes. And so the 24th of August, I joined the family.
Wow. Congratulations.
So that was my testimony of becoming part of the family.
Congratulations.
Thank
sister.
you.
Yeah, you said something that really touched my heart. You said, I knew I couldn't be the way I was. Like I couldn't go back to how I was living. Yeah. Because I feel like that's the point. If there's something that speaks to the truth of the Gospels, as we know in the Bible, yes, fantastic, we are Bantus, we are people of the book, but the conversion of the heart, that point of return when you realize just how fallen you are and just the way you were living before. I think that's what touched my heart. Like when I was at the Tocoistas church, like I want you to sort of explain like what you witnessed in terms of the character of the people. Because, at the same, when you say convert, it was the same for me. Like I wasn't even thinking anywhere remotely on those terms. Like I was just there to visit, basically as a researcher. But when I got there, you see the Mwanda. The Mwanda is just different, man. He just hits you at all angles with other things. Just being around the people, like I like what Sister Michelle said. I felt like I was in the Bible because of not what they were preaching, not what they were saying, but because of how people were, like being. Like sometimes I would just watch them, and I literally felt like I was in Zion. Like I don't know how. I wish it could be clearer. I'm trying to be clearer, but the words won't. Can you please explain what you witnessed in terms of like the spiritual gifting and the love, when the Bible says you shall love one another, I realize that people really don't know what that is. You don't know what it is until you're in it. And that's what, for me, that's what you guys are reminding me of. Like, that's what touched me. I would even be saying yes. Like I remember one time they wanted to ask, like, are you gonna get baptized? I didn't even think. I found myself saying yes without me. Like I didn't think with my. I'm like, oh, especially like we didn't meet, like we didn't have a meeting to discuss that. But my words were just like, I was like way behind me. Like my spirit was way ahead of me, and my like physical flesh is going, whoa, what did you just say? What did you just do? But yeah.
Wow.
I want to communicate to our brothers and sisters, especially those of us who were very intellectual. Like you say, you had an itinerary about what you were going to do. And then the Mwanda just goes, we might scare people when we just say the Mwanda, because now maybe they don't want the Mwanda now, because the Mwanda, you'll just make he'll just take you on a left turn somewhere. So yeah, so what did you describe about the essence of the people? Yes, you want the land is beautiful, but yeah, their practices, what did you discover about prayer or worship or the bates? What are your interactions there? And the tabernacle, what is the tabernacle? Just tell them what.
So the tabernacle is the Holy of Holies. When we had to, when we were going to go there, head to toe, we had to be in white. You couldn't wear any other colors apart from white going in there. And you go in, there's a lot of praying, and the only ones that really do speak like is the vates. So we first went into the tabernacle when we got back from Kwanzaa and Lobito and Benguela, and we were privileged to hear under interpretation Father Abraham. We also heard from Archangel Michael, and we also heard from Prophet Habakkuk and Jeremiah. So two of them was in the tabernacle, and the other, Jeremiah and Habakkuk was in different places, but Archangel Michael and Abraham were in the tabernacle. So Abraham was basically just talking about the things that we're going through right now, and we've got to hold on to our faith. Don't give up. We've got to keep going. We're going to be tried. We're going to be tried, but there's a reward. And then Archangel was mainly, so it was just before the leader was going to go to the north of Angola. So he was basically saying that people need to continue to be in the sanctuary praying. He drilled that in so much. You have got to be in prayer. You have got to build yourselves up in prayer. You don't do that, the enemy will come and sift you like wheat. Like, he was so fervent and he was so like forceful with it. You've got to be in prayer. Like, we're supposed to be working towards the point where you, especially is in South Africa, I'm here and I'm speaking to her without having to look at her. That's how the Archangel was saying that that's the levels that we're needing to be aiming to go. Because the brothers and sisters, they were going to the north, and then we're in Luanda, we're praying, but we're supposed to be able to connect with them like that, so that we be able to tell them spiritually how things are in Luanda, and then they should be able to tell us spiritually what's happening in the north, without us even having to listen to the Tocoista radio or anything. That's the levels that Archangel was saying that to be going to.
Wait, Archangel who was telling you what?
Michael, that was basically what he was saying in the when we went. That was the first time we went into the tabernacle, and that's what we heard. That's what was interpreted. Like, that's the levels that we're supposed to be aiming to be.
So my brother, the angel Michael Micaiah, who cast down Satan, that same one gave us a key telling us to pray these days.
Yeah. Pray. Build yourself up in prayer. Build yourself up in prayer. Build yourself up in prayer. Pray and keep praying for one another. Keep praying for one another. Keep praying for one another. Keep the leader in prayer. Like, it's just everything. Just pray. Everything. Because that's the only way we're gonna win. We're not gonna win any other way.
Good.
So, and then Habakkuk was basically more like, it was more of a personal thing for us, because how me and Deanna encountered that was like in a different setting. So it was more personal, what he was sharing. But Prophet Jeremiah, like, we were only supposed, so that was the youth team. Like, it's like you guys. I was trying to avoid meeting them. As I said, I make my plans. We were trying to avoid meeting with them, and they kept saying that, yeah, we want to receive you. And it's like, yeah, but we're traveling today. We can't come. And like, we've got to have lunch. And it's like, no, 15 minutes, just 15 minutes. It's like, okay, come on now, let's go. So we went. And so they received us, they sang, clapped, we shared our introductions, blah, 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 whatever. So when they were just about to dismiss to say, okay, all right, you can go and have your lunch now, like you've got time, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, all this perfume came out, ointment come out, and like something was just like, they were talking in Portuguese, obviously it's like, oh, you've got to kneel down. What? Why? So we got to kneel down. It's like, okay, so we kneeled down, and then all of a sudden there was a splashing on the floor, and it's like, okay, kneel now, kneel now. And then we were just like, hold out your hand, we hold out your hand, you pour the perfume. Again. I was like, what's going on? And the interpreter was like, Prophet Jeremiah is here. It's like, what? Prophet Jeremiah is here. It's like, oh. So he was there talking about something about somebody who was traveling and the things got messed up. And so like they're going to close the borders again, and we've only got a short window. So you remember, and they kept saying, do you remember when this happened to another sister and another brother? And we were like, what is going on? We were so then they prayed over us. It was just like, okay, I don't know what's happening. And so then Sister Deanna started bawling again. and then
Sister Michelle, I recall you also.
Hold on. I'm getting there. Then I somehow, some reason, I started crying too. Like it just happened. But so they like told us to hold out our hands. We were holding out our hands. They were praying with us. And then like I just felt this stirring inside of me. It was just like it just kept on welling up. And then the only way that it can come out was through the tears, and I bawled and snot and everything. Yeah. And so basically Prophet Jeremiah was saying to us that we are going to be facing challenges when we get back, and we've got to be in prayer. We've got a mission, and yeah, he just said a loads of stuff in regards to what the Most High had made us go to Angola to receive for. And then we were given some gifts from them. By the time that all finished, the 15 minutes turned into an hour. So it's like, how did that go so fast? It was just crazy. And then so then we were able to go to lunch. Then from lunch we were taken to the airport, and then we didn't end up going to Jamaica, but I think that's something for another time. We ended up in Portugal by that time.
Our adventurous sisters. The more Mwanda's in your pocket, he always wants to lift with you too.
Oh yeah. So yeah. So we're watching this space of what it is that he has in store for us. We're still learning. Our prayer life has kind of dialed up a lot since we came back from Angola. Like a lot.
Yeah. That's one thing about the Tocoistas, they pray. It always just amazes me. I was laughing when you're talking about the perfume, because all the time, even before I enter, Brother Vinica, I had to put all my bags down into the kitchen before you even greet or say hi. Like, people not say hi to you. Like everyone comes in, you put your bags down, the perfume comes out, the oil comes out, and then we pray.
Yep.
And we greet.
Yep.
That's visitors and guests.
Yeah.
And also during the day, like they're always looking at their watches.
Yeah.
Like, I know that even if it's 12, even if you're just having a nice conversation about whatever, 12
o'clock.
Everyone's quiet. If you see other people outside, everyone comes together. They stop what they immediately, even if they're cooking, and they say a prayer.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just awesome. It's just awesome. And just watching it, and even like in Luanda, like I mean, everyone, I can't stress enough the the love, and they just want to receive you. And if it wasn't for the language barrier, it would have been even more amazing. We probably wouldn't have left. I'm telling you the truth. Like, okay, so I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, Angola is beautiful. Like, it is beautiful, it is, but there's a lot of poverty there because of the government. And there is a lot of you can physically see where all the colonizers were, and how they where they were pocketed in, like, even in the rural parts of when we were traveling. But you can also see what the destruction that they left behind. But in the midst of all of that, we felt like we were home. We felt like we didn't want to go. Like, we were home. It, like, our hearts is this like content. I know my heart is not here. It's in Luanda. It's in Angola still, because I came back here and I'm like, why am I here, God? Why am I still here? Tata Nzambi, why am I still here? I want to be there, because this isn't home. This is not home. Or this isn't home. When you're in that place, your feet is there. You feel everything. I cannot even describe to you. It's like an energy. Like, it's just different. It's different. Totally.
Wow. Oh man, I can't even, I'm speechless. I want to see the picture, Brother Tusamba. Let's see the pictures and the videos of our sisters over there. Wow. Yo, so nini. So nini. Yeah, can you just go down, brother?
Yeah, so this
From
one.
Rwanda. Hey. Where is, ask everyone, it's, what is it? Zephaniah 3 verse 10 is beyond the rivers of
Kush.
There's the equator, and it's beyond sub-Saharan Africa. Wow.
Yeah.
Brother Tusamba.
So so this is us kind of going, like, flying over the continent, like going over towards Luanda, gonna be landing. It was quite bright when we got there, but by the time we got off the plane and got into the airport, it was dark by the time all of that. So yeah. But yeah, so that's us on that flight. Then the other slide. So we were able to go to the slave museum that's based in Luanda. It's fun. Well, it's not funny enough, but the building that was used for the museum was actually a part of the port that the slaves were transported to and from the Luanda from. So they kind of made that area into a museum. So we kind of got a chance to have a private tour of the museum on the day that we went. So we were able to just go around and look at all the pictures and stuff. But yeah, so I can't remember when they changed it into a museum, but yeah, they did that.
Yeah.
So this is part of the grounds of the church. Yeah, so this is one side of it. So I was just like walking down. On the other side, I think was I gonna turn? Yeah. Okay, so where I'm showing you there, that's where they plan to build a hospital. So on the other side of the church, they have a university, Tocoistas radio station, primary school, and a secondary school on the other side. So the plaque that was there, it was to do with like the people that was involved with building the tabernacle. And this is the Lion of Judah that they have right in front of the church.
Always. So you say the university was built by the church?
Yes. So the university built by the church, and the school and the radio station all by the church. And they also have a soup kitchen that they run every week, every day for the people that are very less fortunate, and they feed over 3,000 people a week. And the leader actually said that and he was very transparent that the offerings, tithing that they get goes towards the community and stuff. Even when we went to Benguela, they were organized soup kitchens up in that area as well in Kwanzaa. Oh yeah, I was just pointing to where the school was in this there. What else? Yeah, and then in Kwanzaa, they had just built another church. They'd opened a Tocoista church, Tocoista radio station in theirs as well, and then they're also going to have a university and a school in that area. So this is like the mountains going towards Lobito. So Lobito is basically the port that has a port where Simon Toko, he's basically said to the ship captain that he wants to go to Lobito, to Benguela, to go and see his people. The ship captain says, no, we are going to Luanda. So Simon Toko said, really? Okay. He directed the ship to Lobito. The ship captain was extremely unhappy, so unhappy that he took off the captain lapel things and dashed them on the floor. This is to say that he can't operate his own ship. So there are some pictures that we see when Simon Toko's coming off of a ship that was in Lobito. So the day that we went to Lobito was the day that he had arrived in Lobito all those years ago. So basically, as I said, the leader was doing the rounds of his circuit of what he did when he left Portugal. So this was the mountains just before and all of these houses are built in onto the mountains all the way up. It was crazy how it's done that. I need to scroll down. And then I just took most of the things that I took was mainly videos of, because you couldn't capture the beauty, you couldn't capture the essence of what you were looking at in a photograph. So a lot of the things that I took were videos of the areas and the roads that we went through. I mean, even here, all of that part there is all mountains. So this mountain, So we were in one of the leaders' cars. He got one of the drivers to drive us and stuff. And so the driver got a call that we needed to look out for these mountains. I can't really remember. I've got to find out from Sister Petra now what exactly the significance of the mountains were. But the leader had told his attaché to tell the driver for us to take pictures and to look at this landmark. But I can't remember why. I can't remember. Did you know why? And this one as well, that mountain. I can't remember why he said that we needed to, but yeah.
Guess we'll find out for ourselves.
Yes.
So we don't get you guys.
So it's just like there was so much land, oh my gosh, there was so much land to just look at, and this was just in one part. Like, so we weren't even talking like going to the north. This is just in the south of Angola, and we only visited three provinces in that time.
Yeah.
And even when we were in Lobito area, there was these nomads, like people that's one of the mountains that we climbed up on. We were quite high up on the mountain on that one. But yeah, so there was a community of nomads that kind of like made their home near some railway tracks. And they're so skilled, they made their own bricks and built their own homes. Like, the government didn't help them. They don't get no assistance from the government. So the leader, he had brought a whole load of provisions like rice, pasta, tinned oil, everything that you can think of. And they were just loaded onto these two trucks. And we drove there. And they just loaded everything and just gave to all these people. Then he went and spoke to them and stuff. And that was just amazing, because you don't hear of churches really doing things like that for people like who are in need, who are not getting any assistance from the government whatsoever, and who's actually encouraging like the congregation to basically look out for these types of people, because that's the only way that you're going to get them to obtain salvation. You've got to meet them at their need. You can't just go bash them with the Bible and say, yeah, God will sort you out, but I'm starving, I'm hungry. Oh, don't worry, just keep praying. No, he met them just like Yesiah did. He met them at their need. He provided, like he said, what do you need? And then he said, and then there's you say, oh, you've given it to me, wow, I'm gonna follow you. And that's basically, I think, like the essence of us as Tocoistas, is that we look out for the need of every individual that we can and try to meet them at their need, because you can't convert someone with just words. You, as it says in the word, faith without works is dead. So you do have to really operate, and they do operate that way in the Tocoista church. So yeah. So this one is we were arriving in one of the small churches in Benguela, up in the mountain. And the congregation was basically just running, like they literally were running down the vehicle. Like, I think we were leaving that time.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But like they met us.
Look at them.
Yes. Yeah. Like, so when we were arrived, like they were like singing. I'm seeing the faith. Oh my gosh, the worship is just out of this world. It's just when they are like they'll put anyone to shame. So yeah, it is incredible. And then that's just basically, I was just amazed by this and the way how this road was just so long and there was nothing on either side. It was just, it's incredible. And then so whenever we stopped at any of the churches, like they would, like the leader will get like a reception like this, like nearly every single one. Like things will be laid out for him to walk on and to greet him and stuff. And then they'll have like I don't even think you can see it properly, like the things that are in like the pile of stuff in front. Like the offerings were just incredible, like live chickens, goats, provisions. Like it wasn't about monetary things. It's like whatever you had, like you'd bring.
Tithes.
Yeah. Yeah. So the tithes and offering, like this offering.
They didn't ask you guys for e-wallets.
Say again?
They didn't ask you for an EFT or an e-wallet.
Oh no, there was nothing like that. It was like, you don't have that, don't worry. What are you growing in your yard? Okay, yeah, you just bring that. You go pick your fruit, your vegetable, whatever, and that was your offering.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
so these are some of the offerings as well. Yeah, the sugarcane, pumpkin, sweet potato. The next slide is bananas. Those were amazingly sweet.
Yeah.
So that was part
of yam and cassava as well.
Yeah, cassava, yam. Oh my gosh. I never had is it fufu before I went to Angola. And I had oh wow, in Trinidad, church harvest. And that's basically that's it. So it's so that's it. So you didn't have any much, like, oh my god, I don't even know if I sent that one. Like, there was a video that I took of when they were bringing in the offering, and there was like queues and queues and queues of people with sacks of rice, peas, as I said, live chickens. Someone had a goat around their neck, like yam, like everything and anything. That's what they brought for their offering. Peanuts, like baskets of peanuts, like everything. So the next one is like a video of like, so when we arrived in Kwanzaa in this, like, this woman, oh my gosh, she's an older woman. This woman is an older woman, and she had more energy than me. I was like, how are you still going? She was at it for ages, just like jumping up and down and singing and I'm like, wow. I'm telling you, they've got so much energy when she's praising, worship. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's like Deanna, my son. And like, so this was like, we arrived there, and it was like after 1 o'clock in the morning, and the church was full. It was full. So it was this.
After 1 o'clock in the morning. AM.
Yes, AM.
They waited to leave you no matter night.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And like you would have thought that it was daytime, the way how they were praying and praising, like, and worshiping this night. But it was after 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my goodness. So this is what we mean by the scriptures coming out, when the scriptures say we're worshiping day and night.
Oh gosh, yes. Oh yeah. Because even in Rwanda, like from Friday night all the way up to Monday morning, they have a specific amount of pastors that are in the tabernacle praying throughout the whole entire weekend. They pray the whole time, every weekend without fail. So someone's always in the tabernacle praying. So this is when we were, I think it was when we were on our way I think we were going to one of the churches again. As I said, we stopped at loads. We stopped at a lot of them on the way. So it's just, so every church that we stopped at is basically where Simon Toko had gone, where he was. So he was moved around a lot before they expelled him to Portugal. He was moved around a lot in the south. So they moved him from the north to the south, thinking that was going to disperse the church. So when he arrived in the south, he was still moved around again. So every single place that we stopped was every single place that he was moved to. And so we visited every single one of those churches.
Yeah. So, we'll step now.
Yeah. Let's move there.
So basically, you're saying, basically your trip was, you were basically retracing the steps of Simon Toko when he was there. The you made.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to just see the audio, Brother Tusamba. You can play it now.
Yeah, so that was one of the. So as I say, I just like took clips of everywhere that we or tried to. Yeah, they were playing all sorts of things. Yeah, drums, the what's that thing called? Tambourine. Yeah.
Tambourine.
Yeah.
Tambourine. Yeah.
Yeah. So so every single stop, like that's how we were greeted. Every single stop, there was singing, dancing. Like they waited. When we were on our way back from Lobito, coming back to Luanda, we went to one church and
don't forget about the. Sorry.
Go on, say that.
Right. Benguela, when it rained, and when we got to the church, they said it hadn't rained in a year.
Oh yes. Yeah. So, oh my gosh. So there was. I don't think I sent that video to Samba. So basically, on our way to the mountains up in Benguela, it started to thunder and lightning, and the way how the clouds were moving in the sky, it was different. And it was literally like, as soon as we hit a spot and the leader was like in front of us, and it was almost like the sky was welcoming him as he was driving. I don't even know how to explain. It was like the clouds came, and then it started lightning, and then and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I wanted to record it. So I'm there I was like, okay, God, please just let me record it. Just do it one more time, and then it flash again. And it's like, okay, one more time, and then it flashed again. So it just kept on. I was like, okay. So then by the time we got to them up in the mountains where we were going to have this church service, they were saying and it started raining a little bit, but then by the time we got there, it's kind of settled down. And then when we got there, like the interpretation was saying that it hadn't rained in that region since last year, November. And now that the leaders come, it's raining. And the most awesome thing is that the heavens, when he was preaching, the heavens just opened. And we were outside. We weren't inside the church. They didn't have an inside church. It was outside church. Nobody moved. It pelted down with rain. Nobody got up. They said that it was a blessing. It was showers of blessing. And nobody moved. He preached. They sat there, soaking wet from head to toe. I'm telling you, the level of faith, is just, it's incredible. Incredible. It's incredible. Okay, have you frozen, especially?
Yeah, my heart just stopped.
Yeah.
My heart stopped. You know, like, I was just thinking about when Christ, when he would preach in the mountains and the crowds together, and you're speaking about the food and the offerings, how everyone would have something to eat. Because they didn't get there to receive. They were the ones giving.
Yeah.
To the congregation, not the congregation, and what you're talking about, the level of faith. I'm speechless.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone else hearing this. Like,
Yes. Amazing.
Yeah, it's insane. And I said it showered. It's rained for a good 20 minutes whilst he was preaching. And then it kind of settled down. It was thundering. There's a bit of lightning, but he kept preaching, and they sat there, and it was this, And then once he finished, it stopped raining, and we went on our way to another congregation after that. But so there was no way. I would have been livid if I had missed out on that opportunity to experience all of that. Like, it was awesome. It was awesome. And then I realized why the Most High said the second week in August, because if we had gone in July, and even the leader said, like, when we met with him, he said that, if you would come in July, you wouldn't have been able to come with me to Kwanzaa Zone. And when we experienced what we experienced in Benguela, I was like, if we didn't change our flight, we wouldn't have experienced this either. Like, it was incredible. It was incredible. The whole thing. I wouldn't trade it for nothing. I would not trade it for nothing at all. It's worth going, chaps. Brothers and sisters. It's worth going.
I can't speak. Someone else. Yeah. Brother, Tata Kennedy, you look like you have something to say.
No, I'm very amazed. I'm longing for this experience, and it's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I just long to feel it, just to be there, to see it with my eyes. Yeah, very powerful, very powerful. Good.
Thank you.
All that I can say to add to that, what Sister Chala said is, it's not even a case of if you're gonna go, it's a case of when you go,
Mm-hmm.
go with an open heart and
yeah.
an open mind and
A spiritual one at that.
an open spirit so that you can receive what it is the Most High has for you to receive. Because, yeah, he was not playing.
Oh no. And you would
And
miss it. You would miss
I was not ready for what I saw and what I experienced. As I said, I'm not a public crier, but I bold and bold and bold. So go ready, go open, just be open. Be open
You can get,
to receive and see.
Mhm.
you can get
Yeah.
yeah. I just want to I hope you are encouraged, you know. Yeah, in there. Yeah, I'd love to know your thoughts. Mama Maria, Sister Randy.
Oh my gosh.
I have no words. That's amazing. I'm just reflecting and just like really digesting it. It's only the Mwandan Semi, is only Papa Zombie speaking.
Mm.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, sister. I think I muted you by accident.
It's all
Yeah, okay.
praises Tatan Zombie, Mpungu Tulendo, who leads us and guides us. I thank Tatan Zombie for using you sisters, using you and just showing you, his miracles. Hallelujah. All praises Tatan Zombie.
Yeah. He's not playing. He wants you back. When he says, my sons and daughters will go back, he means it. He means it. Hey, Tata Elder, Makayilu, he means it.
Yes. Yes, he does.
Yeah. Yeah. Siyabonga.